Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name's Dalia, and we're back on my Trash Winter City Island Frostbite, working on a new build today. I know we haven't been on this island in a hot minute, and I apologize for that. We had like another island we had to finish, and I started a new island. But we're back and we're working on this area of my island. I started streaming this week, and with stream we worked on this little section, this little area, just to kind of do some like fun decorating. So we're going to be continuing and working on this area today. And if you guys saw my recent villager hunt for this island, you would know what we're doing today, but you can also probably tell by the title of the video. So I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you do, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new here, because it's fun. It's a fun time and it helps me out so much. So without further ado, we're gonna get started. If you can tell by the title, like I said, we're working on a junkyard, and we're building a junkyard for 2 of my dog villagers. So basically I've been villager hunting like 2 weeks ago, probably, maybe. And when I went villager hunting, I was looking for Butch. Butch is a dog villager, and I was looking for him because I really wanted to do a junkyard on my trash island, because of course it makes sense. And I really wanted to do like a junkyard dog, you know, that kind of idea. But then when I went villager hunting, I found him in like 2 tickets. So I didn't want to end the video there, so I continued the villager hunt. Like, I kicked out another villager, continued the villager hunt, and we managed to find Mac, who is another dog villager that I was debating getting for this island too. So I thought to myself, instead of just having 1 dog villager for this junkyard, I could have 2. And it's like 2 birds with 1 stone, because I'm able to do 2 villagers' homes in 1 area, and it helps me fill in a villager on this island, because I'm not sure who I want to have as my final villagers. We've talked about it recently on stream, which, if you guys didn't see, I started streaming on my channel. So we'll be streaming pretty regularly on my channel now, as I'm kind of getting used to the whole streaming thing. I'll be posting a schedule for it as we start like kind of doing it more regularly. But yeah, so we talked about it on stream, about who we want for this island, and I think that Mac and Butch fit the island really nicely. I think they're both great dog villagers. The dog villagers are some of my favorite species in game, so I'm really happy to have them. So I placed down the regular dirt, and this is going to be where we do our junkyard. I do extend the path a little bit as we continue the build, because I realized I wanted a little more space. I was originally going to have this be a huge build, but we're already about at least 50% of the way finished through this island, and I still have a lot of spaces I still have to build, including quite a few of my villagers' homes, including my Able Sisters, including my museum. So I can't have it be too big, so we did have to make it slightly smaller. And much like I did with my other river mouth, we're going to be making a bridge here, and then have the bridge kind of go in around the street, kind of like as a part of the street build. So I'm just quickly doing that. And originally for this build, I was going to have the river be beside the junkyard, but unfortunately it ends up being like right in the middle of it. So what I'm doing for the river mouth is I'm gonna just continue the river above the junkyard, because I do have plans for a little more water terraforming for this island. Not a crazy amount, but I do have plans for some. So what I'm doing here is just fixing the road. This is a big build in terms of the amount of decorating and stuff I do, and as you can tell, the video is like 30 minutes long. I cut a lot of it out. Like, we do a lot of decorating around the street. I do a lot of path placement above this area, like where these roads meet. I don't include any of that in this build. I'm focused mainly on the junkyard, but I was just kind of filling pathing in because I don't know how I'm going to continue the path for this, just because I have basically two roads meeting together in a very awkward angle, so I just kind of left it as is for today. I'll be probably maybe working on that on stream and just kind of like figuring out the path placement as we're kind of like going along. But for this one, I mainly just wanted to focus on the road in front of the junkyard and then just get that all situated, because this is a straight road. It's very easy, and I didn't want it to be overly complicated because I wanted this just to be a build in this one area, and that's it. So I placed the bridge really quickly. This is the same bridge I used in my other Rivermouth build, just because the blue of the bridge matches my color scheme for the island, because I'm using like gray, black, and white as my colors mainly, but I'm using yellow and blue as my accent colors. So like I said, I'm just extending the junkyard just a little bit, just by 4 tiles, just because I wanted enough space that I could place both of the houses, but also place a lot of items, because this is a very cluttered build. It is meant to be a very overly crowded junkyard, because my island itself is already trashcore, so I already have trash all over the streets. So I wanted this area to be different from the just like the regular street and have just a crazy amount of junk and clutter. So I'm just finishing the pathing, like I said. This unfortunately did take me a long time. And then I quickly placed both of the houses. So I did speedrun Happy Home Paradise, so now I officially have the customizations for all the homes. So I quickly customized both of their houses similarly to one another, but they're a little bit different.
Oh, what kind of father am I? I'm so darn narcoleptic I can't even tell my own twin sons apart!
It's not your fault, they're identical. Look at them.
They have different roofs and different building, or the different doors, but very similar to one another, because I wanted them to be very cohesive and for them to basically be like very city core-esque. So they're like, you know, like a city kind of house. Like, I don't know, I felt like it looked really city, especially with like the type of door I went with too. So in front of the junkyard and at the back, I'm going to be placing fencing, and I'm using the fencing in both the like silvery color, like the dark silver, and the rusted brown color, because I wanted to kind of enhance the whole like dirty feel of the junkyard by using the more rusted fence too. And I did download a couple of new custom designs for some actual like signage. So I have that new like no entry one that I place on the fences, and then later on you're also going to see another custom design that I downloaded specifically for this area. Now originally I was trying to look for a junkyard sign. I couldn't find a single one that I liked, and I looked for like junkyard, I was looking for like a city dump, I was looking for a garbage dump. Nothing matched like the realism that I wanted, so I wasn't unfortunately able to find something that quite matched it. But because we were doing the whole like junkyard dog thing, I thought the idea of using a beware of dog sign would just be kind of funny and kind of, I don't know, match the whole vibe of the build. So you'll see me place that down in a couple of minutes, but I really wanted a junkyard sign, but I'm glad I went with the beware of dogs because I think it's kind of funny. So for the junkyard, there was no really specific way I was placing items down. It's very just chaotic. I wanted to use a lot of cardboard items, a lot of the oil barrels, regular pirate barrels, a couple of the broken items like some sloppy furniture, the broken mini car, and just really like emphasizing how trashy this particular area is. And because I put the houses so close together, it gives me the ability to just add a lot of items on either side of the houses. That's why I put the houses as close as I did. I was originally going to have the houses on like the edges and then have items in between. But I kind of like the idea of putting the houses just directly side by side and just having a lot of junk surrounding the spaces. So that's what I decided to do. And then because I wanted the colors to match and I wanted everything to be more rusted and old, very grimy looking, I don't use any regular barrels for this build. I use the pirate barrels, which are a lot more of a crusted brownish green, and then the oil barrels that are very rusted as well, and then just like a mixed match of like really broken, gross furniture. Obviously, if you go to a junkyard, you see broken cars. You actually see these cars on the actual streets of my island too, the broken one. But I like the idea of there just being a broken one in the middle of a junkyard. The sloppy furniture as well. I use the sloppy sofa. I put down a lot of dropped items, including some socks, scattered papers, which you've seen me use on my island a ton so far, but just kind of like that general vibe. And the color scheme for this particular area is very brown with a lot of the rusted furniture, but once again, I do have those elements of the blue and the yellow thrown in, particularly with the trash bags, because they do come in a blue and a yellow. I feel like I didn't initially decide to do blue and yellow because of the trash bags. I felt like it just worked out kind of perfectly by having those color options available for the trash bags, but it kind of just makes sense. I feel like blue and yellow, in contrast to the more muted colors of the like winter landscape with the snow and everything, just stands out really nicely. I also do have pops of like orange, some red, but mainly the blue and yellow take the most dominance, especially in this particular build. So in between the two houses, I just fill it in with a couple more cardboard furniture. I used a lot of the cardboard furniture in this build, particularly the cardboard table, because unfortunately for like the cardboard chair, the cardboard sofa, and the cardboard bed, you can't place anything on top of them, much like you can't place anything on top of like a regular sofa or a regular bed in game. But for the cardboard table, you're able to place up to 4 items on it. So I felt like using that as like a centerpiece for a lot of the bigger sections of furniture was really smart, because it gave me the ability to stack items on top of it. It gives it a lot more height. Also just kind of looks as if like you have piles of trash everywhere. And then on top of the dirt, I'm just placing a couple of custom designs, like these cardboard box designs I've been using around my island, and then a couple of newspaper designs as well. It just kind of looks as if like cardboard has like melted into the ground, or like kind of like turned soggy. Same with the newspaper, and that's kind of like the reason I've been using it across my island in my builds, especially on the streets, because it just looks like it's very wet cardboard, wet newspaper that's just melted from the snow into the ground. Another item I used a lot in this build is the oil barrels, the one that's on fire, just because I like the idea of like the junkyard having like random places of fire. Like I even use a couple of fire, not the fire pits, but like the fire pit that you can customize yourself or make yourself, just because I like that look. And it adds like an industrial element to it, which I really enjoyed. I didn't see a lot of junkyard builds like when I was kind of looking for inspiration for this build, so I kind of just like created all of this just based on like what I thought worked. I basically took everything I had done for my island so far and like kind of like, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, like made it a little bit more more, if that makes any sense. And then essentially, like, there's really not much to say for like how I place all these items down. One thing I did do is I cut off this section on the left so you can't walk past it. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing to the left of this area yet. I just didn't want you to be able to walk through it. I wanted this area, this basically to be completely closed off. The one that's on Butch's side of the build. The one that's on Mac's side, you can actually walk through from the street. But for this particular area, I wanted it to be very extra cluttered. So with all the items I use, I kind of just like continue to pile things on top of one another and made it work. And one item I finally got a chance to use in this build was the siren. I'm gonna have to go back to a few areas on my island and place some sirens down, just because I like that I wish they actually made sound. I feel like that would be extra cool. But the siren comes in a bunch of different colors, and it really adds that element of city. Like, you know, when you're in a very highly congested city, how there's always like flashing lights on the streets and stuff like that. I like the siren because it adds that like very, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, realism. I'm trying to add realism to this island as much as I can. Obviously, this isn't like an actual city you would find in real life, like as cluttered as it is. But I think the urban city elements that I'm incorporating are pretty realistic, as far as like if you visit a city that is not very clean, you would find areas like this that look extremely similar, just like piles of garbage, piles of trash, things like that. So let me know if there is any tutorial you want for this island in terms of like the items I use, but I've essentially been using the same items across this entire island as I've started building it. Trash bags are my number one, but I kind of like the idea of the garbage from the dump kind of like spilling over onto the street. Then I made that wooden shop sign with the beware of dog sign that I found. There was a couple that I found, but I thought this one, especially with the bright yellow, worked best for the theme. And it just looks so good. So I placed it at the entrance of the junkyard, and then I also placed it on the side next to like the mini car in a little bit. I like the idea of like the additional added signage. I was originally actually going to place it on one of the fences. I actually might go back and add one. I don't know. I think it's really funny because you have like this beware of dog sign, and then you have like two of the cutest little dog villagers in the world. I was actually going to even use like the dog plushie that we got from the Toy Day collection with like a little dog, like a dog house or something. But I like the idea of like the two dogs you're supposed to be watching out for just being my two villagers. I just think that's really cute, and I don't know, it's a little like Easter, not really an Easter egg, but like a little something that if you catch it and you manage to be like, oh, beware of dogs, oh no, the two villagers are dog villagers, ha ha ha, like it's so funny, she's so creative.
Everybody's so creative.
So I'm just kind of at this point just really trying to fill in the space. Like I said, I wanted to add a lot of, you can walk through this area no problem, but I wanted to make sure it was as cluttered as I possibly could make it. So I decided to place that cardboard table in the middle between the two houses, kind of like in front of it, just to kind of like, I'm basically just trying to create piles of garbage. So you have like individual sections that just have a lot of garbage, and then to fill in the spaces with the like in between with the dirt, I use a couple of wheat fields. I drop some socks, like I use like the everyday socks and the holy socks, like the ones that have like the holes ripped in them that you get from the recycling bin in resident services. That's another item I use a lot on this island, are all of the the destroyed items that you get through resident services, so like the nearly busted radio, the tangled cords, the recycled paper bundles, as you guys have seen me use plenty of times so far, the holy socks, because they just look so good on the ground. They look like disgusting socks that someone threw away and now they're on the bottom on the ground at a like at a garbage dump, you know? It just, these little tiny details that I'm trying to incorporate into builds like this. Like, I think I'm doing a good job, but I'm not sure. Speaking of building, let me know if for my streams, I do have a lot of questions regarding streaming, but my question for you guys is, when it comes to streaming, would you be excited to see me do builds like this on stream together? Or would you prefer if we do more like villager hunts and other like more let's play type of builds? Because I would love to do actual builds on stream, as I'm still going to be doing videos, but I think something like this would be really fun to build together, at least part of it on stream. But I would love your opinion. Also, if you've already watched one of my streams or you've gotten a chance to check it out, thank you so much. I've only done about 3 streams since I posted this video, but since I started streaming, it's been so much fun, and everyone has been incredibly supportive and very nice, and I'm just very grateful if you've dropped in, if you've even just been lurking and you've been watching silently and maybe liking the stream. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't gotten a chance to watch any of the streams that are available on my channel to watch back, if you'd like to, I haven't done a very long stream yet. I've only streamed for a few hours at a time, but they're really fun, and I've enjoyed getting to chat with you all in real time and everything, as opposed to just like straight like recording of like a voiceover for you guys to listen to, you know? So it's been really great. And speaking of that, I will also be starting up channel memberships and incorporating a lot more interaction within the community in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. I'll be posting everything over on my community tab on my channel. But I promised myself when I reach 10K that we would begin streaming and begin like channel memberships and all that stuff, and you guys made that happen through your support, through watching my videos, through your likes and your comments and your subscribing to my channel, obviously. So I greatly appreciate all of you. So back to the actual video. As you've seen, I'm just placing down a lot of the dropped items. So I put my toy cockroaches on the ground and my scattered papers, and now we're kind of just decorating the street. I did cut a significant amount of this off just because for my street decorating, it's just kind of the same thing over and over again by just placing the same items over and over again, but I incorporated just a little bit here so you can kind of get an idea of what I did. Basically, I just wanted to extend what we did in the junkyard onto the street, and I think it's kind of ironic how many trash bins I have throughout my island, considering all the trash that's on the ground. I think it's meant to be like humorous.
That's funny.
But what we're going to do here is just place down a couple of drop items in front of the actual junkyard, and then mainly the rest of the build is just going to consist of me just finishing off the street areas. One thing I wanted to complete was the front of this build towards my beaches, because I have a lot of all my beaches except for a couple of small areas are essentially going to be sectioned off because I'm not going to be decorating all my beaches on this island, but I will be incorporating a few areas on my beaches that I will be decorating within the same theme. So, but for the front part of my island, I just wanted it to completely be sectioned off, so I will be planting some trees and then placing a lot of fencing and like a couple of fences, like actual fences. Here I'm placing that beware of dog sign again. I'm just obsessed with it. I think it looks so cute. So here I am placing the fencing, matching what I did with the Junkyard, just kind of going back and forth between the silver and the rusted. I've been mainly just using the silver for my island so far, and then the rusted on more of my fake buildings, but I kind of like mix and matching them because I think it adds like an additional, like, once again, level of realism, because it's like one of the two fences is rusted over. And then I'm placing the like fencing in between. I basically did this at the front of my island towards my airport, and I'm just kind of trying to match what I did along the entirety of this area. And then in front of the spaces, I'm just going to quickly be putting, once again, just trash bags basically, and then a couple of other like mix matched items just to kind of like complete the space. Because this area is going to be completely sectioned off, I just wanted mainly the height to come from the fences, and then some like utility poles and extra items that I'm like kind of throwing down. And then I'm throwing these safety barriers in front of the bridge, just to section off the bridge area, just to make it look a little more realistic. I did the same thing for the other river mouth as well, and then I'll be doing the same thing on the other side too. And then that's essentially it. I just kind of like finished off the space. Another thing I did throw down is a lot of my cars in the middle of the road, and that's essentially it. And then I'm just finishing off, just adding a little more blue to this area by putting our drink machine down, because I realized I had a little too much yellow going on. So quickly time travel to later on in the day, to the time of day I'll be setting my dream address to, which is around evening time, while it is snowing too, because I think it adds that little extra level of like ambiance. So without further ado, let's go check out the final build, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. Alright, that is everything for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I know I say this with all of my builds, but I think this is one of my favorite spots on the island. I just think it turned out so good and really just encompasses my entire theme. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, do not forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye!